Hi friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge. The knife sale that I did here in the middle of September went very well. Thank you to all those who purchased knives and dealt with me in a very good way. It was the lowest stress knife sale thing that I've ever done, so thank you very much. Today we're taking a look at the Gannet by QSP. The Gannet is a knife that comes in three colors. It's the QS137 A, B, and C. You've got green micarta with this cool, it almost looks like Damascus carbon fiber, or you can get it in brown micarta with a carbon fiber that's got this red layer in it, or you can get it in black micarta with that carbon fiber with the red layer in it. The cool thing is the green and the black are 20% off at White Mountain Knives right now, because it's an overstock situation for those two colors. So if you like the green one or the black one, hey, save 20%. Full price is $82.50 American. So you can get 10% off with my coupon code CCE, or you can get 20% off those other two with coupon code SALE20. If you want to take a look at the knife right here, there it is. So yeah, micarta, that cool texture on that carbon fiber, and a blade 154 cm, and it's got that hand sanded look on that blade. Very nice. It's a front flipper liner lock. So after this one commercial break, let's go down to the tabletop and we're going to take a good close look at this knife. Keep watching. QSP doesn't provide information on who the designers are, who's on the designing team of their knives, but whoever, maybe the individual or the team that designed this one, hey, I think you did a pretty good job. There's a few things that I would change on it, but overall, I think it's a quite nice knife, and it comes in at a good price point. Let's zoom in just a little bit more. There we go. Let's do our size comparison with the Ontario Rat 1. There you go. Oh, actually, I just zoomed in and I probably shouldn't have for that part. So if we line up the pivot pins, you can see it's a shorter knife, shorter handle. It's got pretty much the same cutting edge, though, of each other. And a similar shape of blade. You see, you've got a fairly quick belly and then a longer straight section. That means this blade is not designed for puncturing, but you could use, the tip part of this blade in a pinch for skinning a critter, a small animal if you want. But mostly this is sort of an EDC knife if you take out the component of self-defense. We've got a front flipper, which is jimped all the way around. I think it looks pretty good. Let's see. There you go. You take a good look at it. You can pull over and do it if you want to. I'm not good at that method. I'm much better at using my thumb to push across. So right from here, you push across with your thumb and the blade comes flying out. That's how I do it. What we have is a really nice treatment on this 154 cm. I should double check. I don't think it was hand sanded, but they've got this horizontal sanding. Most knives, let's just take a quick look at this guy again, this Ontario Rat. You can see the grind lines that go down across from when it was ground on some kind of belt or something. Well, this has, after that, been sanded the long way, which is usually done on, custom knives or semi-customs, because it's a nice hand sanding touch. Like I said, I'm not sure if this was hand sanded, but it's really got that look. We've got a blade that's got a long clip point. So right from there, it clips. You can call it a clip point. Like I said, we've got that nice belly, but if you look at the blade thickness, you've got a distal taper starting right about here, about 2/3 along the blade, but it stays fairly thick behind the tip. So we've got a strong tip on this blade. And then we've got that nice belly, long straight section, brings us back to the sharpener's choil. We've got a very slow plunge. I've done a whole video on sharpener's choils. And the plunge is the transition from the flat ricasso to the bevel grind. That transition area, it's slow. It takes a distance, or I like to say a while, to get down to that thinness, which means the sharpener's choil ends before the plunge ends, which is why you see the grind lines. It sort of goes up and it gets deeper this way right at the very end. So the sharpener's choil could have been just a little bit bigger. This means when we go to sharpen the knife, we're going to sharpen into the plunge, and it's going to make that section of the knife not look quite as good as it could. You tend to get a step when you're using a guided sharpening system and you're using stones that are sliding back and forth. It tends to create a little step right there when you're sharpening. So I wish that sharpener's choil was just a little bit bigger. We've got 154 cm on the ricasso right there. It's not very dark, it's not very big, but it's easily legible. I like that. QSP puts their logo up there on the ricasso. Again, not too dark and not too big. I really like that quite a lot. So the badging and the branding is not in your face as much. QSP likes to use this triangle on the pivot pins. So when you see that, you're looking at a QSP knife. That's the pin side of the pivot pin, and there's the screw side, a T8 screw. We've got T6 screws over here that are holding the body slabs together. The micarta, those are good quality screws, but they're in a button style, which I don't like the button style, but at least the screws are a really good quality. We've got T6s on the button screws that are on the pocket clip, but they're not huge buttons, so I like that. And since they're quality screws, they don't have to be very big. I don't think there's any risk of those stripping out. And the pocket clip, it ends with the tip coming up, which I usually don't like. I like them to flatten out. But this time, this clip does not get hot in the hand. Let's grab our pants that stand in. And because you've got that scoop there, it goes up and to the full depth. You've just got a little bit of micarta showing off there, but it's a deeper green, so it doesn't really show off. It doesn't look like you've got a full-size knife in your pocket because the clip's not that big. So the clip's got good tension, and it's not hot in the hand during use. I've done a lot of cut tests with this, cutting all kinds of stuff, and so I've got experience with it in the hand. It does not get hot in the hand. All the edges are rounded everywhere. The micarta offers extra grip. The thickest part of the knife is here where the micarta looks a little bit lighter. I don't know if that's just because it looks lighter. I don't know why. I think probably that's the spot that rubs because it's the thickest spot, just like here on the end. Whenever you put the knife down on a hard surface, those are the spots that touch. And so I think that's why it looks like that. We've got the front section here, the sort of rose pattern carbon fiber. It just looks really, really cool. Hopefully the close-up shots give it some justice. The lockup. It's just a tiniest bit later than I like it to be on a brand new knife, so that's very good. The lock release, there's a little bit of a swedge cut in it and a little bit of jimping, and it's highly polished. It works really well. It's just big enough to be functional and small enough to not be a big thing to grab the eye. So I like how they made that lock release. Blade centering from the factory, it's just slightly off to the pocket clip side, but pretty close to the middle. So not bad at all. The detent on this is just a little bit softer than I prefer. If you hold the knife just on the handle and do a hard wrist flick, you can get the blade to come open sometimes, and that's not a good thing. One thing I haven't talked about yet, or a couple things, there's a long back spacer, which I don't mind. The other thing is the back spacer comes back and there's no lanyard hole. There's no lanyard pin. I think I would like there to be a lanyard pin built in at the back. The way the blade, jumps back like this. I think they could have put one in here. It might have been a tight fit, but maybe that would have been nice. The handle, we've got some curve to it to fit in the palm of your hand, but then it comes back up just a little bit on the end there. It fits really nicely in a hand my size. My hands are just into the extra large range, between 9.5 or 10 in European men's glove sizes. And this knife is very comfortable in reverse grips. Even a reverse pull grip is not uncomfortable. The pocket clip does not get hot in the hand in any of those grips. And it's nice. I think it's time to go over all of the specs that we found on this knife. Oh yeah, I didn't zoom in, did I? Here we go, let's zoom in and go over all the specs. The weight of this knife, 99 grams, 3.5 ounces. That's not bad for a full-size knife. Factory sharpness, 115 bests, pretty good. That's a little bit better than average. The cutting edge length is 82.2 millimeters, 3.24 inches. The blade length, tip to the closest spot on the handle, 85 millimeters, 3.35 inches. The thickness of the blade up here at the ricasso, 2.92 millimeters, which is 0.115 of an inch, so just a bit under 1/8 of an inch. The blade depth, it's widest right there, 23.4 millimeters, 0.92 of an inch. The thickness behind the grind, about 1/3 of the way up, 0.51 millimeters, 20 thousandths of an inch on the dot. The grind angles, I'll put the averages on the screen. This side, so right at the heel, 23.2, but then really it's 18, 15.4, 15.3, 13.3. This side, it's about 25.4 right at the heel, but then again, a couple of millimeters over is where the real measurement is that I'm going to use. 21, and then a quarter of the way down, 19, right at the midpoint of the belly, 16.2, and at the tip, 18.1. So the sharpening is not very consistent. The handle length, 114.8 millimeters, 4.52 inches. The grip area, approximately 10 centimeters, 4 inches. The thickness of the handle, right here what the thickest point is, 13.6 millimeters, 0.536 of an inch. Most of the handle is thinner. The handle depth within the grip area, the widest point's right here at the end of the grip, 24.5 millimeters, 0.96 of an inch. The knife, when it's closed, the widest point in your pocket will be right here, 29.1 millimeters, 1.15 inches. Total length of this specific one is 199.8 millimeters, so basically 20 centimeters, which is 7.87 inches. So it's right at that threshold between medium and large size knife. It's probably closer to large size. What else do I think of this knife? Actually, let's hold those things. I want to show you the insides first. So let's loosen this pivot screw. There we go. Feels like there might have been a little bit of adhesive in that spot. So there you go. We've got screws that hold it together on the inside. You've got this nice key system where it holds the micarta onto the carbon fiber. Very well done, strong, and that's what keeps this seam so super crisp. And we've got 3 screws here. What are those? I don't think those are T6s. Yeah, they are T6s. They just looked a little bit smaller. Put that there. So we've got 3 screws in the back that hold it together, plus the pivot screw. That makes it very strong. Am I getting into that one? Okay, it's very shallow because it's the head of that screw sanded down as well. But there it is. And let's open this up now. You can see the phosphor bronze cage ceramic ball bearings. We've got a ceramic detent ball right there. And that lock arm looks like it's probably got a lot of tension on it. It's a ways over. I'm going to give it just a tiny bit more tension. We've got the captured stop pin on the inside. That helps keep the look of it nice and clean. And there's the track that the stop pin follows. I wish there was a tiny bit more skeletonizing because the balance point is just a tiny bit behind this seam here. And I'd like it to be a little bit on the carbon fiber side. Just behind the pivot pin is where I like my balance point. So yeah, there you go. That's how it's made. A very common problem with knives, putting them together, is people over tighten. So be careful of that. These body screws on the outside, they work just fine, but those tiny screws, I reiterate, you need them. So I've made the detent just a little bit stronger with a little extra spring tension on there, but I can still make the blade come out if I do a really hard arm flick, not just a wrist flick. So before I could do it with a wrist flick, now I have to use my whole arm, so that's better. 3 bits of information. I would like that if there was a left-hand option. It's, like I said, not really a con, but yeah. The screws, like I said, they're quality. I wish they weren't button screws. I wish they were more like what Civivi and Kubi and several other companies do. And some people are going to miss a finger choil. It's just not part of this design, and I can see why they don't have it, because it's a front flipper. You know, they'd have to build up an extra thing to create a finger choil. I like this knife as a front flipper without that choil because they chose the blade shape to match that it's a front flipper. If it would have been a blade designed for piercing, then you're going to want to have a little bit of a guard there. So I don't really mind those things at all. A couple of cons, very minor. I wish the sharpness choil was a little bit bigger. Really is room for a lanyard back here. When I took it apart, I could see how big that black spacer is. They could have put a lanyard pin back here. That would have been a nice touch. I think that's just a miss on QSP's part with this knife. And that's most of the cons. The rest is pretty much pros. The lock release is good, lockup is good, blade centering is good. None of those things are perfect, but they're all within the good range. I might even say very good for all 3 of them. They're just not perfect. It's solid. There's no blade play side to side. It's pretty decent. It's a comfortable knife in hand. It's a secure knife in hand. And you've got 154 cm steel here, which is, you know, and it looks good. At least I think it looks good. It performs well. They sharpened it poorly. 154 cm, I'd probably make this thing at the most 18 degrees per side. I might even do less than that because it's a steel that can handle having less. You know, it's not like you're going to baton with a knife like this. So you can get that nice fine edge there, and this thing would just be a dream come true. I like the green look. You know, I chose it out of the 3 that I could have chosen, and no, I didn't. QSP sent this to me. I forgot. See, there you go with those people that say, you know, if a reviewer gets something for free, you know, he's going to be totally biased. This whole time I was working on the review, I thought I'd bought it, but I just remembered, seriously, right at this point, no, this was a knife that was given to me by QSP, and I can see why they like it. Remember, 20% off for the green and the black at White Mountain Knives. Always, you can get 10% off of everything at White Mountain Knives with coupon code CCE. And he's also got another website for automatic knives. I think the coupon code 10% off works there as well. It's White Mountain Auto, I think. So, thanks for watching my video. I'm quite liking this knife. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. I've got some new Patreon supporters very recently. Thank you guys for signing up. I really do appreciate it. And remember, friends, cut towards your chum, not your thumb.